1990s, Brazil. Imagine a world where money dies in your pocket. In the early 1990s, Brazil wasn't just in a crisis, it was in a mathematical apocalypse. Annual inflation hit 2,477%. To put that in perspective, prices were increasing 25 times over in a single year. Keeping money in a bank overnight was like lighting it on fire. Every hour you waited to spend your paycheck, you were getting poorer. The country was in a state of collective madness. People didn't walk to the grocery store, they ran. If you stopped to talk to a neighbor, the milk in the store behind you could go up by 10% before you finished the conversation. This was the monster that had swallowed Brazil whole. So, what happened next? How did this crazy hyperinflation end? In this video, we will discover how an entire nation stepped back from the edge of the abyss, saved not by tanks or guns, but by a psychological mind game and a mathematical illusion. We are going to explore how the economy was rescued using the world's most successful fake money. But before we get to this miraculous solution, you need to see how the system completely collapsed and the extreme lengths people went to just to survive. Because sometimes, to fix reality, you first have to make everyone believe in a dream. The scenes inside supermarkets were surreal, bordering on a dystopian fever dream. Employees weren't just workers, they were sprinters on roller skates, racing through aisles to change price tags 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a day. If they were too slow, the store lost money. If they were too fast, a customer couldn't afford the milk they had picked up just 30 seconds prior. In the most desperate cities, the system simply broke. Stores gave up on paper tags entirely because the prices moved faster than a printer could work. Instead, they used megaphones. Imagine standing in line, clutching a loaf of bread like it's a bar of gold, and a voice booms over the speaker. "Attention customers, bread is now 200 units more expensive." You'd watch people literally drop their groceries and walk out in tears. It wasn't just inflation, it was psychological warfare. The chaos bled into every corner of life. Restaurants stopped printing menus because the cost of the ink and paper had become more expensive than the cost of the food. Waiters became human stock tickers, whispering the price of the hour into diners' ears, or frantically scribbling numbers on chalkboards that were erased and rewritten before the appetizers even arrived. Money had become a hot potato. If you held it for more than an hour, it burned you. Then came the ultimate betrayal of trust. In a move of sheer desperation, the government executed the Collar Plan. They froze 80% of all bank accounts in the entire country. Overnight, life savings were trapped. People went to ATMs to withdraw money for medicine or rent, only to find their screens blank. The middle class was liquidated in a single day. Companies collapsed, suicides spiked, and families were shattered. The currency was changed 5 times in 5 years, renamed, revalued, and stripped of zeros, but the monster wouldn't die. Every new bill was just a different color of the same worthlessness. Why? Because the problem wasn't the paper in their wallets. It was the total, agonizing death of belief in the future. In 1994, Finance Minister Fernando Henrique Cardoso assembled a team of 4 renegade economists. Their diagnosis was brilliant and terrifying. Brazil was suffering from inertial inflation. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because everyone expected prices to rise, they raised their own prices in anticipation. The baker, the barber, and the landlord were all feeding the fire to protect themselves. They realized that giving people a new piece of paper wouldn't work. They had to give them a new reality. They needed to perform a magic trick on a national scale. They called it the URV, Unidade Real de Valor, the unit of real value. The URV was a ghost currency. It was a unit of account that had a soul but no body. It wasn't printed. You couldn't withdraw it from an ATM. It lived only on paper and in the minds of the people. Its value was pegged to the US dollar to keep it stable. The government forced every shop to display 2 prices, one in the old dying currency called the Cruzeiro and one in the URV. The Cruzeiro price went up every single day by thousands of units. But the URV price? It stayed exactly the same for months. A liter of milk was always 1 URV. Slowly, the Brazilian brain was reprogrammed. People started to realize, the milk isn't getting more expensive. My Cruzeiros are just rotting. They stopped thinking in thousands and started thinking in units of URV. The ghost had become more real than the money. For 4 months, the government waited for the nation to synchronize its mind to the URV. Then, on July 1st, 1994, they pulled the lever. They announced, the Cruzeiro is dead. That URV you've been dreaming about? It is now a physical currency. We call it the real. Because the people already believed in the value of the URV, they immediately trusted the new real. The transition was seamless. Overnight, the 2,000% monster was decapitated. Inflation dropped from 50% a month to 2% almost instantly. It was the most successful psychological operation in economic history. Brazil had been saved by a ghost. But was it just a temporary fix? The numbers speak for themselves. Before the URV, Brazil's inflation was a vertical wall of 2,477%. Within just 1 year of the real's introduction, inflation crashed to 22%. By 1998, it was down to a mere 1.6%. For over 30 years since that magic trick, Brazil has never seen those 4-digit monsters again. Even during global financial crises, inflation remained largely under control, hovering mostly in single digits. The ghost didn't just haunt the old system, it built a new, solid foundation that turned one of the world's most unstable economies into a global powerhouse. The 2,000% beast was not just decapitated, it was buried forever. The URV experiment reveals the ultimate secret of money. Currency isn't backed by gold, oil, or even government decree. It is backed by a shared hallucination. Money is a story we all agree to believe in at the same time. The URV worked because 150 million people chose to believe in a stable ghost rather than a chaotic reality. Today, as we move into the world of digital assets and decentralized finance, are we not just creating new versions of the URV? Value doesn't exist in the ink or the pixels. It exists in the invisible contract between us. When trust dies, money becomes paper. When trust is restored, dreams become reality. The Brazilian ghost currency is more than just a history lesson. It is a profound proof that economics is 10% math and 90% psychology. It reminds us that a currency's power doesn't come from the ink on the paper, but from the invisible contract of trust between millions of strangers. When that trust evaporates, no amount of gold or government decree can save a nation. But when that trust is restored, even through a ghost, miracles can happen. What do you think? In our modern age of instant information and deep skepticism, could a ghost currency still save a struggling economy today? Or have we become too cynical, too awake to believe in financial magic anymore? Are we moving toward a world of digital ghosts? Or is the real still the only thing that matters? We want to hear your theories in the comments below. Let's start a debate. The world of finance is full of these hidden, unseen stories that dictate how we live, work, and survive. If you want to pull back the curtain and uncover the secret forces that run our world, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next investigation into the shadows of the global market. We'll see you in the next video.